so excited to have you guys here. Welcome to the webinar. I'm Amy Miller. For those of you who don't know me, you are in the right place if you're here for the webinar on career direction and transition, your want, your why, and what's next. So in a moment here, I'll share my screen and we'll jump in. But first, I wanted to let you guys know a little bit about what to expect today. I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes, so I'll do my best to keep it right around there. And if you guys are enjoying the content, you may want to participate in the free offering I will have for you guys. And I'll share that after the 30 minutes. So stick around for that if you can. And let's see what else. Oh, and then I do have the Q&A open. So I'll start to take questions after the initial talk here. So any questions that you guys have throughout the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and type in there, and then I will get to those. And one other thing, just to share, also to let you guys know to expect today, keep an open mind. Much of the content, not all, but most of the content that I'm sharing actually might be not quite what you expect and a little bit unconventional. However, I assure you that the concepts that I'm sharing today have been instrumental in my growth, helping me to go further, faster along the career path that is meant for me. And the same concepts work for my clients as well, and they can work for you too. So what we are doing today is working to establish a solid foundation. With any mission, whether it is to overcome a challenge or achieve a goal, you must have a solid foundation from which to start. Otherwise, the mission will fall apart. So that's what we're going to work on today. Yeah, so let's jump in here. Oh, I need to go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, so we'll do that now. Go ahead and get this presented here for you. All right. Okay. Just a little quick background on myself, who I am, what I do. I'm a career transition coach. Also, much of what I coach on is self-empowerment, because when we learn to give ourselves what we need and empower ourselves, we become unstoppable. So hopefully you guys will come away with a little bit of that ideas on how to do that for yourselves today. And in addition to coaching previous backgrounds, I have over 15 years combined experience in medical sales and industry recruiting. I'm also an entrepreneur and an author. I write motivational self-development nonfiction books, 2 so far. And then on a personal note, I have overcome my own struggles with both anxiety and depression. So while that was a very challenging time in my life, it equips me to now help others identify and overcome obstacles and achieve their goals faster. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the important stuff. Oh, skipped a slide. Let me just go back here. All right. And that is you guys. Let's talk about you guys. Why are you guys here today? So some of you are maybe here because you know that you want more for yourself in your career. You know exactly what it is, but it's the how that is keeping you stuck. How am I going to make this happen? This is a common challenge that I hear, and it really can keep people stuck. So we're going to talk about how to overcome that how, so you can actually get started today. And then some of you are maybe here because you know that you want to change, but you're not sure what. So maybe seeking clarity in direction. So this is something that I help my clients with as well. And we'll come away with some tips on how to help you overcome that today, if that's where you are. And then others of you, this is very common too, maybe think that you know what you want, that little voice that keeps speaking to you in the back of your mind, knowing that this idea makes you curious and excited, but afraid to try. Now, fear is something that very common. I mean, each of and every one of us, myself included, encounters it multiple times, throughout the day. But we're going to talk about how to overcome fear today. If you guys are note takers, you may want to write this piece down, this little tip, a little preview of some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And if you're not note takers, I strongly recommend becoming a note taker. We retain and take action on the things that we write down. So little tip, when you get that idea, that twinge of excitement and or curiosity, then immediately following comes the question, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't? If you can start to switch that question to what if I can? What if it does work out? And then take it a step further, of course it will work out. This is key in overcoming fear. And I remember the day that I started adopting this mindset, and Yeah, it's powerful. So write that down. Switch it from what if it doesn't work out to what if it does. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how to get started. If this is including gaining clarity. So no matter where you are in your journey, we're going to talk about some actionable steps to help you get started. And we're also going to talk about how to solidify your belief that you will achieve. It's mindset plus action that equals success. So we got to start with the mindset. And then we're going to talk about how to identify and overcome fear, and then your initial action steps. Jordan Peterson says one of my favorite quotes, super simple, yet very profound. You can have whatever you want, but you have to know what it is. And don't we get what we want much faster when we know exactly what that is? Not to say that if we're getting started and we don't know exactly what we want, we won't get there. But without clarity on exactly what we want, we might try several different paths and take a much longer time and have a lot of unnecessary frustration getting where we want. So first, we want to figure out exactly what it is you want. And how do you do that? You get present. So the significance of the present moment, many things, but we'll talk about two quickly. The only place where anything ever happens is in the present moment. We can often make ourselves feel like whatever happened in our past is still happening when we focus on it. But when we're focusing on our past or worried about the future, we're not present. And so if the present moment is the only place where anything actually can happen, wouldn't it make sense that that is when and where you are going to get your ideas? And your ideas, the things that excite you, that make you curious, that is your first step in the direction that is right for you. So how do you get present when you don't know what it is you want? How do you figure it out? Two things. You can take a deep breath. Focusing on our breathing brings us present because we are focusing on something right now in the present moment. And also, you want to pay attention to your emotions. Your emotions are clues leading you toward what lights you up and away from what doesn't. And a lot of times, it can be key in order to to go in the right direction. It can be key to focus on the frustration. So good or bad, you want to pay attention to your emotions. You want to do what I like to say, you let your intuition lead and let your logic follow. Life gets easier when you navigate it like a maze, meaning this feels good. Let me go this way. This does not feel good. Let me turn around and go another way. A lot of times when we are, I speak with folks who maybe have been in the same role with the same company for 5 years, and they've done all that's been asked of them, and they're not getting the promotion. They're getting passed over for it. The role is getting given to someone outside of the company coming in, and it's not for lack of effort, or we're going on all kinds of interviews and we're trying, and nothing's working. Sometimes our path feels like a challenge, a positive challenge, where we are making progress along our path. And how do we know? How do you feel? Do you feel happy and satisfied, even though you haven't yet reached your goal? Or do you feel frustrated? Are you taking time, investing time, or are you wasting time? And how do you know? You want to pay attention to your emotions. So sometimes when we feel like we are beating our head up against a wall and nothing is working out for us, it's because we need to turn around and go another way. So life gets much easier when you navigate it like a maze. And next, so once you get present and you have clarity on this is what I want, or at least this is how I want to feel in my new or next endeavor, you want to back it up with solid reasons why. What you want must make sense with why you want it. If, I love dance, I think it would be awesome to join a dance team, but does this really make sense for me at this phase in my life and my career? Absolutely not. So that's kind of an exaggerated example. But if you think that you want something, ask yourself a series of deeper why questions so that you can really get clear and make sure that what it is you want actually makes sense. Because sometimes we're going in a direction that sounds good to somebody else or looks good on paper. But if we really take a step back and ask ourselves, do I really want this? Am I going to enjoy the day in the life? I know it's more money, but I don't want to do this at all. You want to listen to yourself, back up your want with a solid why, and you're going to be on that solid foundation from which to start. Now what? Okay, so what I mean now is this is a high level today, so we can't get too detailed. got to keep moving. So let's say that you know what you want. Okay. So now what do you do that you know what you want? This is how you stay curious and get excited. This is how you overcome the challenge of getting stuck at the how. How am I going to get there? This is how you're going to stay present in the present moment. Again, that's where you're going to get your ideas. So you want to pay attention to your emotions, what excites you, what makes you curious. So get curious. And what this looks like, choosing, I like to say, wonder over worry is not, how am I going to get, more clients? How am I going to make enough money, to support myself and my family and my new endeavor? It's, I wonder who's going to show up to help me along my path. I wonder what my next client is going to be like. I wonder what readers of my book are going to think, so, and you can see just in how I'm expressing myself, how curiosity, as I'm talking about this, easily leads over into excitement. And when we're happy and feeling good, we're present. So what that means is we are available for new ideas to come in. And what that means is you're going to see your next step and you won't be afraid to act on it as long as you stay present and stay curious and get excited. And it's okay if the fear comes in. Actually, we'll talk about that in just a second. So why is this important? You attract more of how you're feeling. When we walk outside and we're not taking care of our emotional state and we're not feeling that good, we might be more likely to greet others with a scowl instead of a smile. And that's what we're going to get back. So that's the law of attraction piece of why it's important to keep ourselves feeling good and stay curious and excited rather than worried or fearful. But also, mindset plus action equals success. And your mindset dictates your actions. So where is your mindset leading you? Think about it. Let's say if you're in sales, for example, and you're at nearing the end of the quarter and you think there is absolutely no way you're going to reach your quota. Are you more or less likely to go make that extra sales call at the end of the day? And then happen upon a great opportunity that is there waiting for you? Or are you more likely to say, I'm not going to make my quota anyway, so I'm just going to call it quits for the day and go get an ice cream cone or whatever? Or another example, no relationship has ever worked out in the past. So I really like this girl, but you know what? I'm not going to put any effort into it or just very little effort because it's probably not going to work out. Well, you just prophesied your future. It's not going to work out. So it's our mindset which dictates our actions, which create our life. So check your mindset if you're not exactly where you want to be. And here's how you switch it. This is probably my favorite thing to talk about right now, which is fear versus intuition. And I talk about this concept on almost every single one of my coaching calls. So with each client multiple times, because it takes us some time. Most of us, if we're feeling out of alignment in our career or anywhere in our life, it's because we've gotten away from trusting our instincts. And this is something we already know how to do. So let's figure out how to get back there. As a writer, I love words. So I will sometimes look up their definition, even when I already know what they mean, because I always learn something, as I did with fear versus intuition. So by definition, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something is likely to cause pain. An emotion caused by a belief that something might happen. So what does that tell you? It tells you that fear is not real. Now, most of the time, we'll talk about that in a moment. It also lets us know that we're manufacturing fear in our minds. Don't you have the power to shift your belief? So that means you have the power to then overcome fear. Intuition, on the other hand, is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning, immediate understanding without any logic in play. Intuition, your instincts, these are something that we were born with to keep us alive and to keep us safe. So couldn't they also be strong enough, our instincts that is, to guide us in the right direction? So how do you know if it is fear versus intuition? I'm going to tell you. So write this down if you're taking notes and remind yourself of it every single day as you're encountering those next steps or ideas that maybe have some fear around. How do you tell if it's your intuition, which is guiding you in the right direction for you, or if it's fear? The order of the emotion. So this is back to the curiosity versus excitement. Let's say you get an idea for a new business or for a higher level role in your current company, and it excites you. You're curious about it. But then a moment later, What if it doesn't work? What if so-and-so doesn't, what if I don't get the job kind of thing? The first emotion was excitement or curiosity, and the second was fear. So you never want to deny your emotions. You want to just observe and choose. That's next slide. I'm skipping ahead. But anyhow, you have the power to overcome fear just by distinguishing, is this fear or intuition, and leading with your intuition, what lights you up. And another tip, any decision based on fear, inaction, or action, unless you are in physical danger, will always take you further from where you want to be. So most of us, all of us likely need to do what scares us. The thing that we need most is the thing that most scares us. Had one other thought here I wanted to share. Oh, of course, fear serves a purpose when it's the first emotion. And when fear is the first emotion, that's your instincts leading you out of the harm's way. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense there. And this is important in career direction, because if you're not where you want to be, you're feeling unhappy, or you can't find your direction, or you're afraid to try and pursue what it is you really want, it's just because you're not listening to your instincts. So what's the solution? If you want to live a life with greater purpose, you want to follow your intuition and lead with what lights you up. So how do you overcome fear? You never, like I mentioned a moment ago, you never want to deny an emotion, because remember, it's so important to pay attention to our emotions because they're guiding us in the right direction. Whether it's taking time to sit with the frustration and letting ourselves feel the discomfort, because then often the solution presents itself, or that positive emotion, leading with that excitement, what lights you up. So you want to observe the fear when it comes in and choose your focus. Choose to focus back on the emotion of excitement and curiosity. The ability to choose your focus is a superpower. And further, you have a responsibility to pursue and fulfill your purpose. Why would you have ideas and curiosities about things that are not, and gifts around things that are not meant for you? I promise you, somebody out there needs your gifts in the way that only you can give them. And so what happens when you choose fear and you don't pursue and ultimately fulfill your purpose? Well, you deny the world your gifts. Why would you do that? Carl Jung says, and this is my favorite quote of all time. So Carl Jung, if you're not familiar, he is a Swiss psychiatrist and philosopher. He says, that which we need most will be found where we least want to look. So this is introspection. I'm very passionate about introspection because, as I shared, from a young age, I battled with anxiety and depression, and I had to figure that out myself. So I just kind of started looking within, trying to figure things out, how to make myself happier. So this is actually good news here. If you want to change something in your external circumstances, you must first change something within yourself. So let's say your company isn't treating you well, or leadership isn't treating you well, or so-and-so is disrespecting you, or you're not getting the promotion, or something in a certain area is never working out for you. You want to look deeper at that. And the place you want to look is within yourself. And this can be a tough pill to swallow, to take responsibility for ourselves. But this is also very good news, because if your happiness and success were dependent upon those outside of you, well, then you're sitting here powerless. But when you take responsibility for why things are not working out, when you take responsibility for if they're not in a certain area, when you take responsibility for your own happiness and your own success, you learn to give yourself what you need. And then you become truly empowered. And then you become unstoppable and have a strong belief in your ability to achieve. So implementing real quick, wherever you are in your career journey, whether you have a new business idea that you haven't yet started, whether you have started and it's not working out for whatever reason, whether you want to go further faster on your current path or whatever, or you're looking to gain clarity on what you want, the tips that I just went over, the concepts will apply. So quick recap, when you know what you want, you get there faster. So you want to get present so you can hear yourself telling yourself what it is you want. We know what we want. If we think we don't, again, we're just not listening to our instincts. So how do you get back there? You pay attention to your emotions, to how you're feeling. And then once you get clarity on what it is you want, how do you get started? You stay curious and you get excited. A lot of times, and I've changed my career direction massively, quickly, multiple times, by just following my curiosity. This illogical action makes absolutely no sense, but my instincts are telling me to do this. I'm going to do it. I could share many examples, but for time's sake today, we don't really have time to get into stories, although they're a great way to learn. So maybe another time. And then you want to back up once you know what you want, you want to back up your what with your why. So I'd really like to have a PhD. But does it make sense? Do I really need to, let me look in the day at the day in the life and the coursework and see if this makes sense, so dig deeper to make sure that what you want actually makes sense. Okay, so this is a bit more conventional part that maybe a little bit more what you guys were expecting. So when you know what it is you want, how do you take action? I am often surprised at how many people do not write down what I call your bigger goals. Writing down your goals serves probably multiple purposes, but I'll share two: clarity and responsibility. So, for example, I get very nervous and, well, not nervous, maybe, I don't know, stressed when it comes to travel. And so I'll have so many things to do that I will kind of get stuck in my tracks. So when you have 18 things, tasks, things that you want to get done swimming around your head, we can kind of get stuck. But if you take them out of your head and write them down, your mind is now clear. And I always feel like if I write something down, it's halfway done. It's getting done. Maybe not today, but it's getting done. So writing down what you want or what you need to do helps you have a clear mind. And when we have a clear mind, we're present, and then we are open to receive ideas, which are our next step. So that helps you stay in tune with your intuition. Also, writing down your goals gives you the responsibility to take action. What do we do with our responsibilities? We heed them. We take action. So write down your goals. I like to keep two lists. I like to have my weekly to-do list. So it'll have some work stuff, business stuff, and personal things that I need to get done on there. And I write it out each Monday morning, and then I'm adding to it and crossing things off as I go throughout the week. And then I have my bigger goal list. So on your bigger goal list, this I rewrite maybe once every 1 or 2 months, but you want to keep both front and center where you're looking at your goals daily. And I recommend writing down your bigger goals and then what I like to call your subset goals, because what that means is your big goal, in order to reach it, you are likely going to have multiple action steps that you're going to need to take in order to reach your goal. So you want to, if you break down your big goal into smaller step-by-step action steps, and not every single one, you don't need to map out your entire blueprint, and you can't, life doesn't work that way. Just a few that you think of initially. So for example, when I was after publishing my book. So one of my bigger goals is to become a best-selling author. Okay. So what are some things that I need to do in order to get that done? Because that sounds like a big daunting task. How am I going to do that? Well, one thing that would be beneficial is to get my book in local bookstores. So that would be one of the subset actions on my goal list. And then I have maybe 3 or 4 action items in order to make that happen. So one, get my book in local bookstores. So how am I going to do that? Well, first, research which local bookstores my book might be a fit for. And then 2, physically go to the stores and get the contact of the person who does the ordering. And then 3, email the contact. And then 4, follow up a few times. And then I'm done with it. And that's exactly the process that I did to get my book into some local bookstores. So when we break down our big goals into smaller action steps that we write down and hold ourselves accountable, then when it's time, those action steps work our way over onto our to-do list. So that's what I recommend. And yes, we are going to do a quick review on SMART goals. And I have these, I write SMART goals for each of my endeavors, my bigger goals that I'm working toward. So quick review, specific, measurable, achievable. I see 2 sometimes for the R's. So I wrote an example for both: relevant, reasonable, and time bound. So this is a example that I used for writing both of my books. Specific: I will write and publish a nonfiction self-help book. Measurable: how will I know when I've achieved my goal? I finished my book. All right. Achievable: now this is your how. How am I going to make this happen? But again, this is not your entire blueprint. This is just the initial action steps. So for me, I decided, okay, I'm going to focus 1 to 2 hours each morning from 5 to 7 a.m. and then an additional 10 hours on the weekends. So I was writing both of my books when during the time when I was recruiting still full-time and just coaching part-time. So that was the schedule I made for myself. Is this relevant? So pursuing a dance team, not really relevant, but this is a relevant endeavor because 1, I'm very passionate about helping others, and 2, I've been writing my entire life. Is this reasonable? Yeah, this is making sure checking in with your achievable. Can you actually do this? If I say I'm going to write and publish my book in 2 weeks, I'm just going to pull an all-nighter every night. That's not reasonable. It's not going to work out, but this is reasonable because I'm a morning person. That's the time of day that I'm most focused. So yeah, and then I'll have plenty of time to do my recruiting work again when I was recruiting, and then time bound. So you want to set a by when goal date that you want to achieve your goal. A goal without a date is kind of, just a wish. So we want to be strategic about it. And we want to set what are called stretch goals. So I read about this in not Smarter, Better, Faster, but Charles Duhigg's first book, the Power of Habit, I believe, and probably other folks talk about it too. So what that means is aim high. All right. So aim for the moon. If you shoot for the moon, land on the stars, that's fine. So I set a goal to write and publish my first book in 90 days. I did. And then my second book, I set the same plan and goal, and I wrote and published my book in 120 days. So still great. You will always be your best investment. A goal does not come to fruition without taking action. So what does this mean? You must prioritize your goals, or you have to make time for them, or you won't achieve them. You succeed and I succeed. We all succeed at what we focus on. So how do you do this? You want to schedule time blocks, like I did with the 5 to 7 a.m. for writing, to implement your action steps. Now, like any new step, this will feel uncomfortable at first. This is how you start to get comfortable doing what scares you and taking risks. So if you want a different job or to start your own business, for example, basically you want a full 8 to 10 hour day, however many hours is right for you to work. How will you get there if you will not take 1 to 2 hours starting out? Even start out if your schedule is super crazy and you have little kids or something like that. You could start out with 1 hour in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then a couple extra hours on the weekends. But if you don't schedule time blocks and prioritize them, you won't achieve your goal. And yes, it'll feel uncomfortable at first, but then it'll just become, hey, this is just what I do now. This is time that I'm investing in myself. And if you respect and set boundaries around your time, others will too. So nobody questions you when you go to work. Nobody questions you when you schedule time to do your errands or make dinner. So set this time and you respect it, and others will have to respect your boundaries too. And if others don't respect your boundaries, maybe it's time to create some distance there. That's what I do. But also, I have compassion for folks that don't respect boundaries, because it means that they don't know how to set healthy boundaries for themselves. So further, to help you get more comfortable taking some risk and taking time to invest in yourself and your goals, investing in yourself will never be selfish, because remember, you have a responsibility to pursue and fulfill your passions and your purpose, because somebody out there needs your gifts. And so once you achieve your goal, you have the opportunity to then make a greater impact that's going to help more people. So it'll never be selfish. So quick review to lock it in. So whether you're looking to transition your career and you know what you want, or you're looking for clarity, you want to acknowledge what you want by listening to yourself. If you think you don't have the answers, I promise you do. You've just gotten away from listening to yourself, but you know how. We all do, because it's inherent. We just want to retrain our brains so that we can get back there. So how do we get back there? Get present. You can start by breathing, taking a deep breath, and always pay attention to how you're feeling. You want to follow what lights you up. Whatever lights you up is for a reason. So let your intuition lead and let your logic follow. So remember the fear versus intuition. And another way to quickly overcome fear is to adopt that new question. Anytime the question comes in, what if it doesn't work? Switch it to what if it does? And then reminder, you have the responsibility to pursue your passion and fulfill your purpose. And how are you going to get there? You're going to write down your goals. You're going to prioritize them, and you're going to create time blocks. So, all right. Quick offering for you guys as a thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. Hopefully you got some good takeaways today. And spending some of your morning with me here on the webinar. So if you guys liked the content and you would like to further connect, actually, I'll drop it in the chat here too. I am offering a complimentary 30-minute coaching call strategy session with me one-on-one, where you can bring a challenge and or a goal, and we'll see what action steps we can help you align to get you started. So let's see here. All right, so you can, if you guys are on your computer, you can scan this QR code here if you want to book that. And then I will drop it in the chat as well, if you guys are on your phone. I did carve out a good amount of availability, but if you're not seeing a time in there that works for you, there's my email here. You can email me. And then, oh yeah, I put my books on here. If you guys are curious and want to check them out, they're available on Amazon. So I will leave that slide up here, and I'm gonna click off the recording. So those of you guys who are leaving me now, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you got some good takeaways to implement. I wish you well on your journey, and maybe see you or talk with you soon.